Okay, so all of you should have watched session 3, which was the two either YouTube videos or just recording of webinars that I did earlier this month. This is just the follow-up Q&A webinar to that. And I just have a few slides in here, just things that you may have questions about. First off, just a reminder, Digital Library, what it is. It's just an on-demand resource to help teachers address learning challenges and differentiate their instruction. So, yeah, so pretty much it is just a library of formative assessment practices that teachers can use day-to-day to teach. And wanted to put this in there just because we were getting questions about formative assessment. This is just a definition. So pretty much what it is, it's a deliberate process used by teachers and students during instruction that provides actionable feedback that is used to adjust ongoing teaching and learning strategies to improve students' attainment of curricular learning targets, goals. And so when you put resources into the digital library, it needs to cover at least one of these points. So it needs to either clarify intended learning, elicit evidence, interpret evidence, or act on evidence. So it just needs to have one of those processes involved in your resource in order for it to go into the digital library. Yes, and you want to have as many as you can. You need at least one, but a really good item, they say, the best one will cover all 4 of these. So the more you can have, the better of these attributes. And I know we talked about this, but just expectations. You are helping us populate the digital library. It's planning to launch on April 2014. And so what you'll be doing is reviewing supplemental resources using quality criteria and submitting additional resources for review. And then also the use of the digital library resources and collaboration tools for professional learning and instruction. And then you also provide feedback on the resources in the library. And we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. And just want to let you know, these are the list of the state leads. My name is Matt. Mike is also with me, Mike Rinker. And on the phone we also have Joan with us, and some of the others are probably joining us as well. And each SLT will have about 11 of you SMEs. So in either today or sometime this week, you will be getting an email from your SLT, so you will know who your main contact person is. It's going to be one of these 7 people. Oh. So this is just a different picture. I didn't realize this is one that I had to click through. So just once again, what the steps are. First off, you as the SME, you submit the resource and you fill out the cover profile with it. And then step 2, another SME, just like you, will review it. They might not be from South Dakota, they could be from any state that is a Smart Balance state. So they will apply the gatekeeping criteria to it, which is just yes or no questions. If it gets past all of those yes or no questions, if they mark yes for every single one of them, then it goes into the quality criteria, and that person and 2 other SMEs will review your item using the quality criteria. And we'll talk about the gatekeeping more and the quality criteria in training too, what that looks like. And then if all 3 of them, the SME 1, 2, and 3, if they all decide that it's good and that it should be posted, then it will get posted to the digital library. If only one person thinks that it should get posted and the others think that it should be reviewed, then it gets sent to one of the SLTs, and we will review it and decide. And if all 3 think that it should not be posted, or that it needs revisions, it will get sent back to the person who put the resource into the digital library so they can modify it and fix it up. And this is the original plan, so actually this one's kind of confusing. I'll just go to this is our new timeline, and you'll be getting this, if you haven't got it yet, you'll be getting it sometime this week. But the first deadline was November 23rd. South Dakota, we got a little bit behind because of that snowstorm. So if you cannot get 2 resources into the digital library by November 23rd, we realize that's only 5 days. So that's probably not very likely. If you don't get them in by November 23rd, that is totally fine. But if you do get them in by November 23rd, you will receive your payment by December 20th. Just because the first deadline, you don't need to get them approved or anything, you just need to get them submitted. But you want to make sure that they are good quality and everything still. But if you get them submitted, you'll get paid by December 20th. And if you don't meet this deadline, you may use the January 1st deadline, but then you won't receive payment until February. And then on December 1st, we just ask that you watch the webinars for sessions 1 through 4. We have session 4 posted in the wiki now, so you can check that out. And that is just covering how to use the digital library and how to put a resource in there. Is on the wiki. Yeah. Yep. Yep. And then December 20th, we just ask that you view training 2 on the wiki. This isn't posted yet, it'll be posted on there by December 1st. And so you'll have from the 1st to the 20th to watch training 2. Training 2 is all about how to review other people's resources. So training 1 is about putting your own resources in. Training 2 is about reviewing other people's resources. And then every deadline after that is just making, you have to have one of your submissions, or one of your resources approved, and review 3 resources. And I suppose you can read this as well. Just want to make sure that the first parts made sense. And I always want to direct you to the wiki. Make sure you have this wiki. That's where we're going to be putting all of our information. And I want to throw this out there too. If you have questions about licensing or copyright questions, contact Joan Upel. She is one of our SLTs, and she will either answer your question or pass it along to a professional who knows all about licensing and copyright. And that was kind of a lot of information. We wanted to make this very interactive, so I'm just going to see what questions we have. And one question is, we will also find out the other S&Es in our cohort from South Dakota. Yes, when you get the email from your SLT, you'll see the list of who else the email went out to, and that list are the other S&Es that will also have the same SLT as you. And if it's helpful, I can send out the Excel spreadsheet that has the S&Es and which SLT you're with. Okay. Yeah. One person says they don't have audio. I'm just going to help them really quick. Are there any questions at this time? If you have questions, you can just ask it now while I type this. Yes, correct. Thanks, Joan.
I have a question about selecting one of the resources to review. Is we need to find out if the other SMEs have reviewed it or not before we begin to work on those resources will be in
Yes. Okay, so the question is just about the format of the resources. We do have example resources that we will be sending out to you shortly, just so you have an idea. But it could be pretty much anything that could be used in the classroom to promote instruction, and that has to go with formative assessment. For instance, in the first video we watched, it was all about Fishbowl, and that was a great resource just because it was instructional as well, just because it covered Common Core standards and it taught a teaching resource that teachers could actually do in their classroom. And someone else asked the question if they could create a resource about the flipped classroom, and they definitely could do that as well, just because it does include the formative assessment parts, and it has like lots of questionings, and you're getting students' feedback, and so pretty much if you're teaching and then giving them some kind of assessment, and based on that assessment you're giving them feedback on how they do, and then you change your instruction based on how they do on that assessment. If your resource includes any of that, then it will work. So there isn't really any like it has to look like this or it has to look like that. It just has to cover formative assessment. And you can include PDFs, you can include videos from Vimeo or YouTube. With those, you need to get copyright permission or make sure that they're free to use for copyright. And if you need information about copyright, that's all in the wiki as well.
Remember to use that cover profile as a guide. That's going to be, remember, if it doesn't meet everything on there, you're not going to be getting through that gatekeeper. So making sure you're getting everything on there is going to be one of the most important things.
Okay, but also to help you focus. Think of the fact that you are the top, and then it was just wildly successful with your kids. And these are the formative assessment that was just never. And that's, you might want to use a video that you created your own class, and then write that out as a lesson plan along with all of the PDF or everything that go with that. Learning velocity, practicing something that you've done in your class already, so you can just tweak a little bit.
And I just want to read some of the questions that we got in the Q&A box. One person asked, does it matter what subject level we submit? Example, I teach high school math. Can I submit something from Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2? And yes, any of those work. All that matters is that it aligns to a Common Core standard, since it's instructional. So just make sure it aligns to Common Core, and it doesn't matter which subject. And another question, when we review submissions, will math teachers be reviewing math, English reviewing English, etc.? That is how it will be, yes. So math teachers, don't worry, you do not have to review English, and English teachers, you do not have to review math. You'll be reviewing your content area. And then over the course of the contract, how many submissions are we supposed to submit to the digital library? So this first deadline was 2 submissions, and then every other, then, let me think about this. So then 2 through 5, you just have to have 1 approved and review 3 resources. So that would be a total of 2, 3, 4, 6 total resources.
But remember, after this first one, it's not just a matter of submitting. It's you're going to be reviewing 3 others, but you're going to have to get at least 1 more approved each time when it actually goes through and gets posted. So if you have one that ends up being a lot of other people, the SMEs don't quite think it's really matching up, you may want to have more than just 1 submitted again each time. but that's going to be up to you on that. It's, you'll have to have at least one, gone through and posted.
Yep. Then another question got is, so where do you recommend we start looking to find these resources? So if I was still a teacher, what I'd probably do is just thinking about in my class what worked well, and I'd probably start there and then try finding resources that went along with what I did in my classroom. That's somewhere where you can start. Or if you have an idea of what you want to do, you could search the Vimeo, those videos, and if there's something that goes with it, and you may have to ask them for permission, have them fill out the copyright permission form, or if it's free to use, then you can just use it. So you can do that. I guess those are just places I would start, and we will be sending out those example resources as well, so you can look at those and kind of get an idea. I know, like, once you see a couple examples, it's easier to kind of get the ball rolling, and it sparks other ideas. All right, I got a question. Can they be PowerPoints or flip charts or that we create that we use in the classroom? So you could do this because the PowerPoint, you can convert that to a PDF, and you can upload PDFs. I can't remember if you can upload PowerPoints. Does anyone remember?
No, I have whether the video format listed or PDF.
Yeah, but you can simply change the PowerPoint to PDF. If you need help with that, just email one of us and we can help you with that. So, yes, that would work. Another question. So team taught lessons would be fine as well. Yeah, that would be great. Like if you're getting multiple or different kinds of content areas in there, or maybe I might ask, what do you mean by this? So the person who asked about team taught lessons, are you on the phone? Oh yeah, so a history teacher and an English teacher, that would be great. Like if it covers both of them, that could be, if it covers English standards, then you can use it. So that would be great. You would just explain it in your cover profile.
And remember, just because the Common Core standards right now are reading, language arts, and math, that does not mean those are the only subject areas that can be used for these lessons. That's one of the things. You can have, various science, or as this person said, mixing in English and history. So you can get subjects beyond those, and but they do need to tie into at least one Common Core standard.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. We were looking at some examples, and there were some from history, but it included English with it, and that was one of the examples they gave us, so that would be great. And I know with Common Core, there's those one standards, I can't remember the names of it, but they're pretty much like reading in the history class, and just getting English into other classes as well. So that would be great if you did a team taught lesson, or resource, I should say. All right, next one. What type of resources would you like to see from special education? So just again, the possibilities are endless, just as long as it covers a Common Core standard. Doesn't matter what grade level, just has to cover that, and just include formative assessment where you're assessing the students knowing or seeing what they know, giving them feedback, or differentiating instruction based on what they know or modifying it. So. Does each lesson we submit need to include a video example of using it? It does not need to include a video. A lot of the resources in there are just a PDF, and then you can include like a lesson plan on how you would use that PDF, instructions, and what standards it covers, and everything that it needs to cover. And then, are we allowed to use resources already posted on other teacher sharing sites like eNotes.com? That is where you actually have to get copyright clearance, so you might have to send whoever the owner of it is, you have to send them the copyright clearance form, and they would have to fill it out and say whether if it's okay that you use it on this site in the digital library, or if somewhere on the website if it says that it's open to copyright. And I can't remember all the symbols, but there's different symbols you look for. There's symbols that mean that you can actually use it, and there's symbols that mean that you can't. So you can find that all on the wiki under, I think it's other materials or something. Joan, do you remember exactly where that is?
Yeah, I think under copyright, what you're talking about is if they do a Creative Commons license, there are various licenses.
Yes.
Some have more or less restrictions. And you have once you find something you're not sure about, copyright or commons or Creative Commons,
Yes, and I was just going to show you really quick. So here's the wiki right here. So if I go to the home page, this is just the wiki. So over here, copyright resources, that's exactly what Joan was talking about. So if you click there, and then you can look at, there's where the copyright clearance form is, and then tips for identifying the license. Here's the PowerPoint that you can look at. And then once again, here's Joan's email address if you have questions about copyright. So thank you, Joan.
Now remember that if you do find something from that site there, more often than not, you're going to be wanting to add stuff to that. You'll see some examples of that with some of the stuff that we put up where, yeah, there's already something there to start with, but there's going to be more that you'll need to add into it to really hit the gatekeeping criteria.
Okay, the next question is, if we submit a resource that is a duplicate, do we get credit for the submission? Maybe we may be putting a lot of work into a submission without knowing it is a duplicate.
Well, that kind of goes to what I was just saying about how you're going to be going through and adding stuff to it, and it's going to make it your own. So you should end up with something unique by doing something different. Somebody else shouldn't end up doing the same thing.
And as you saw from cover profile, or from session 3, we looked at cover profile A and cover profile B, and from that, they're the exact same resource, but cover profile A made it not, or it didn't pass, but cover profile B did because it was a lot more extensive and a better cover profile. So what really matters, or not the only thing that matters, but what's very important as well is that you have a good cover profile that goes with it. And if you have a good cover profile, and it really explains how it can be used, how it goes with formative assessment, how it matches with the Common Core standard, then I think it should get submitted. And if it doesn't, you'll get feedback on what's missing and what you can do to make it better.
We'll ask the battery piece. We have two reservations that are just. We'll ask that question and see if they have to do their information.
Yes, I'll write that down right now. Okay. I got the question if Smart Notebook will work if there is no PowerPoints. Joe, do you remember where we can see what you can possibly upload into the digital library? Do you remember where that is?
I won't find that for you. But they say no PowerPoint, it still takes a PowerPoint, any PowerPoint you need, you're ready for a PDF. And that is okay to submit that.
Oh, yeah. So it's very easy. All you have to do is, if you have your PowerPoint open, you save as, and then you can save as a PDF right there, and you just save it, and then it says PDF. So, and if you have a PowerPoint, you don't know how to do it, send it to me, and I'll convert it to a PDF, and I'll send it back to you. So that's very easy to do. So, yeah, you don't have to really worry about that. Okay, next question. So the links on the web need to be copyright checked also, since you are not loading anything, just stating a link.
Actually, you cannot just give a link. Everything needs to be directly downloadable from the resource. So because you don't know if that link is going to disappear in a week or change, so you don't just provide a link. It has to be stuff that you actually put in there, that when someone gets the resource, they actually have all of it right there.
Okay, so with YouTube, from there, in there you can actually download or upload it to the digital library. It allows you to do that for YouTube and Vimeo videos, just because those are the two video resources that it allows. So it makes it very easy to put a YouTube video in there. And you'll learn that all when you watch session 4. That should cover it. If you still have questions about it, we can help you individually or send something out with step-by-step instructions on how to do that. But yes, YouTube video, if you got copyright clearance, you should be, or you can upload it. Alright, then do we have some place for comments if we select no on gatekeeping criteria? Actually, when you do the gatekeeping criteria, no matter if you select yes or no, you have to put a comment in for every one of them. I think it's like 10 questions or something like that. So you have to put comments in there. So even if it meets it, you say yes, you can just even write you met the requirement or it looks good. But you have to put some kind of comment in there.
But especially if you're saying no, you really want to, when you're doing those reviews on that, you're going to want to give very specific feedback. Just like, you submitting one, if it comes back to you, you're going to want specific feedback so that you know what you need to do in order to have it meet the gatekeeping criteria.
Yep. Yeah, and when let's say you submitted a resource and the person reviewing it, they mark no on something, then when you get it back, you do see the feedback, so you know what it needs to have in it or what wasn't clear. Maybe it was that the audio wasn't clear or something like that. Yep, and then it'll go through a gatekeeping. It might not be the exact same person who did it the first time, but it will go through gatekeeping. And then once it's through gatekeeping, then it opens it up to the 3 reviewers to do quality criteria rating on it. All right, next question. What type of technology can we use as part of our lessons? Geometry Sketchpad, GeoGebra, TI Inspire. So with these, so you want to be able to upload those actually into the digital library. But if you had a PDF, or let's say you just typed it up in Word, you typed it up a lesson plan that included how to, maybe it has the lesson and it says, now the students go into Geometry Sketchpad and do this, and you get step-by-step instructions on what they do in Geometry Sketchpad. That, I believe, that would work. Or GeoGebra, that one's free to anybody, so maybe you do that, or, yeah, you just kind of explain it in the lesson plans, you save it as a PDF, and then you upload that. And then when you fill out the cover profile, you would want to make sure right away you write so that teachers know that students need to have Geometry Sketchpad or GeoGebra or TI Inspire for this lesson. You would just include that in the cover profile, like I said, yeah. Okay, we do know that this is, like it is brand new, and it is going to be an awesome tool, and you might feel kind of overwhelmed with it just because it is brand new, and there is a lot, like finding resources, that's not always easy and all that, but just knowing that you're part of something that is nationwide and that teachers across the nation are going to be able to use, and you know that it's going to be good resources in there, because like not only do teachers, actual teachers put them in there, but then they have to get reviewed by 3 other teachers. So we know that they are going to be very, very good resources, and this is going to be a powerful tool for teachers to have access to. And it's just nice too that you get to be paid by doing, or get paid doing this too. So we hope that you find that it won't be as cumbersome as you think, and that we are here to answer any questions and help you, walk you along the way, and do whatever we can to make you not feel overwhelmed. So if there's anything we can do to help you with that, just please let us know too.
One of the important things to remember too here is that once you get through that first one, once you've at least gone through that process, you're really going to end up with a much better understanding. That first one's probably going to take you as long as the next 5 combined, because it's just going through and seeing how those steps actually end up working that's really going to show you what you're going to need to do. But yeah, it is going to be a difficult time getting through that first one. But once you do, you'll have the process down much better, and it will go much smoother. And we'll have some of those examples to show you as well, and that's also going to help you just get the wheels spinning in terms of how you're actually going to put these resources together.
Thank you, Dylan. All right, another question. What did you say we would find the examples of resources? And we have those. We just received them. We didn't know about them until just like a couple days ago. Yeah, so we will be sending those out to you as soon as we can, either today or within the next couple days. And we'll also post those on the wiki. Yeah. Yes, that's true. Yes. All right, the next question says, can we solicit resources from our coworkers if we give them credit for the lesson? If so, do we need a copyright clearance form from them? Or is it okay if they just give us a verbal permission to post? Joan, do you want to tackle that one?
Well, it have they, as a creative commons license to their work, have they included material that are copyrighted by someone else? So it is complicated, and you have to look at the all their own creative material, or were they also borrowed that from someone or adapted that from someone? The reason there's so many here all the time about the licensing on this is because it is for the product, we're going to the library, which will be part of a state contract. So they need to be very careful and do everything according to copyright law, because, of course, there's money being exchanged.
All right, and that was all the questions in the Q&A box. If you have more, you can keep typing them, or does anybody have a question or over the phone?
Okay, you know that. You have to be going to tell right now, we'll be doing that. So
Yeah, I think it's just like a queue, so you go in and choose the ones that you review. So if you're third grade, you probably stick within that grade level.
And when you go through the queue, once you start reviewing, I believe it's a 72-hour limit, and if you haven't got something, it goes back into the queue. I'm not sure if there's a button for I don't want to do this one or not. I don't remember seeing that. Joan, do you?
that's a good question. If you cannot clear your total to the minute within 72 hours,
It'll automatically go. I'm just not sure if you can get out of it and do it, go to another one sooner.
I think you could.
But I don't remember seeing anything like that. But so if it's one you decide you can't, after 72 hours, so after 3 days, it would automatically go to allow someone else to review.
All right, just got another question. Can Active Inspire flipcharts that use active expression devices for assessment be submitted as a resource? And I'm not familiar with this program, so I'm not sure if you can get it into a PDF. But what you could do for sure is make a lesson plan on how you would use this, and then you could say that you would use Active Inspire flipcharts, and you could just kind of explain it within your PDF, like what you would do with it and what you would put on it and what would be included. But you can email me individually about that, and I can see if we can get it to a PDF or something. I'm not familiar with Active Inspire.
Or, I mean, is this some sort of program that you interactively use, in which case you may be able to make a video yourself of it being used and upload that video? So it depends on exactly what this is. So either a PDF description or a video there could be possible.
Yes. I got a question about submitting. I'm not sure where to submit. And if you watch session 4, that all explains the digital library. So sorry to share the word flip. You submit them in the digital library. And to get into the digital library, let me find the website one more time. I forgot what it was again. It is beta.smarterbalancedlibrary.org. And if you go here, your email address is your username, and then your password you made up but there's a forgot your password link right there. So all of you should be able to log in right now. And all of you right now have the ability to post, or not post, to submit resources into the digital library right now. So it's that website, beta.smartbalancelibrary.org. And let me think about the date. I think it's like December 1st or December 2nd. Then you will also be able to review other people's resources. You won't have that access until after the 1st or 2nd of December. But right now you can go in and already create your own resources. So it's just that website, beta.smartbalancelibrary.org. Yeah, I'm going to try doing something really quick. I think you can all see my screen. That's the website right there. And then use your K-12 email address. Joan, can you see that? Okay, so that's the website that you go to. And then you use your K-12 email address, and if you forget your password, or if you haven't set your password, then you click that. You should have gotten an email sometime this semester about this website. So maybe go through your email as well. And like I said, when you watch session 4, which is an hour long, that will explain the digital library, how to log in, how to submit a resource, and how to use all the tabs and all that. All right, I've got another question. Do we have to fill out and submit our own vouchers for payment? Good question. So I'm just going to pull up a document right now. Okay, so this document right here, this first column, it just says S&E members payment spreadsheet to SLT lead. So someone will send me the spreadsheet, and then the next column is SLT return spreadsheet to PCG. So what will happen is before November 26th, I will go in there and see who has completed the first, or completed putting in their 2 resources, and I add them to the spreadsheet, and then I send it in, and then payment is December 20th. So then training 2, I can just go in and look at every single SNE and see who's done what, and then I fill it out on the spreadsheet, and then I turn that in, and then the next payment would be February 21st. So that's kind of how this works right here. Remember, you do have access to this PowerPoint. So it's up to us to go in and see what SNEs have done. And yeah, these are very good questions. I feel like we're covering a lot today. And we'll try getting those resources on the wiki either today, tomorrow, or the next day. We'll send out another email to let you know when all those resources are there, those example resources.
And we reviewed some of those when we were doing last week. These are not necessarily perfect resources either. Remember, these things are still being built, and as of now, there are no posted resources. There have been some submitted, but reviews have not occurred, so there haven't been any posted ones yet. So these are examples of some of the types of things you may want to look at, but these aren't necessarily perfect for approval either.
And I think that's good too, because you can look at them and see what's not perfect about them, and being able to see what's not great about them, then you can see that for when you're making or creating your own resources. All right, I got another question. So even though our submissions for November 23rd have not been reviewed, those will count as complete submissions for December payment. Yeah, so the first one, all you have to do is submit 2 resources. They do not have to be posted or anything like that. You just have to submit them and then you're done. For every other one, you just need to have one that is posted, which means it goes through the gatekeeping and the quality criteria, and you review 3 resources. But that's for assignments 2 through 5. First assignment is just getting 2 resources in there. And the reason for that is just because they want a bank of items in there so then once resource, not items, sorry. So once this bank of resources is there, then people can go out there and start reviewing them and whatnot. Yeah, it needs to have the cover profile in order to submit it. You just fill it all out online, you just keep pushing next and fill out the areas or the fields.
So, and, hopefully at least one of these 2 would be able to get reviewed and posted before that next deadline. But you'll still want to be, working on reviewing and revising these as you get feedback and looking at ideas for another one, at least one more, I'd say, each time you get posted is probably what you want to do.
And we think it's going to be like that. We're checking with Smarter Balance. They don't really even know the answer yet, but because we think that if you submit these 2 resources and one of them gets posted by the next deadline, that should count. They haven't confirmed that with us. They say that they think it's going to be that way. So that's only 2 resources instead of submitting 3 of them. So we'll get back to you as soon as we get an answer from them. We've been emailing them, just waiting for a response.
You don't need to do by November 23rd if you're okay. Wait to start your meeting is coming in February.
Yes. And like I said, each SNE will be matched up with an SLT, and there's about 10 SNEs to an SLT, so once you get that assignment, I know a couple of us have already emailed our SNEs. So this is Matt, I sent out an email. If you got an email from me, that means, or I wrote something about you being your SNE, and I know Mike sent that out, and maybe a couple others did as well. So you'll be getting that soon, so you'll know who is your contact person, who you ask all your questions to, and all that, yeah. So any other questions that you can think of right now? Oh, we got a question. Do all submissions have to have technology components? They do not have to have technology components. They have a section on the cover profile that says something about technology, or maybe it's the gatekeeping or quality criteria. Again, I can't remember, but even though it doesn't have technology, that will not stop it from being in the digital library. It doesn't have to, but they recommend it, but not require it, so it's okay if it doesn't. All right, well, we will stay on the line for a little bit longer, but thank you very much for joining, and thank you for all your really good questions. And we'll keep you posted. Whenever we find something out, we'll be sure to let you know as soon as possible. And just thank you all for your work on this. I'm very excited about this. Just being able to work with other states, and I really do believe that it's going to be a great product that teachers really can use in their classrooms. So if you have questions, stay on, ask away. But we'll say that's the end of it. Thank you, and just always email us if you do have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.